Hello again, my name is Craig, and today's video is a little bit different to everything else that I've done before. I'm going to be talking about design still, but I wanted to try something out a little bit different. So the idea behind this video is I'm going to show you underneath one of my favourite ever branding projects I ever worked on. This was for a horror convention in Sheffield, which is a place close to me, and the horror convention was called HorrorCon UK. Their branding, well, they didn't have any branding when they first came to us to start working with us. Their website was rubbish. Their whole image was terrible. I wish I could find the old logo because it was all really bad. And we worked with them to actually make a brand that looked good, that made them stand out in the marketplace, because actually in the marketplace of horror conventions, most of them don't look very good. And the other things I want to talk about is my process behind actually creating the logo and some of the ideas underneath the logo that you'd probably never really hear about unless you was hearing about it from me, who actually made it. I don't know if this video is going to work. I hope you enjoy it. Let's get into actually looking at the stuff. So I think I want to start here. This is the finished logo that we designed for them, and there's a lot more for me to say about this, which I'll get into when I start looking at some of the ideas. But this here, the green thing, was the final logo that we created for them. This wasn't the whole logo, this wasn't the colour scheme either, because this is the branding guidelines and we created quite a lot of different colour schemes for the whole thing. But this was the final logo, the final idea, the idea that it just says HorrorCon, and then it is getting slashed through with some kind of weapon, and I'll go into more detail about that in a little bit. But I wanted to go right back to the beginning of this project. So I have opened up all of the logo roughs files, because I always save every single version of a logo that I create. I've opened up them all so I can walk you through them and talk about the process of actually getting to this final idea. I'm going to open up Illustrator first because this is where all the ideas are, and I wanted to start with this one. This is where the project began, when I started putting stuff onto paper, because when I'm making logos, I always do them on paper first. I wish I had those with me, but they're in the office and obviously I can't get to them. When I first start working on logos, I always work in a sketchbook first, and until I've got a good idea, I don't move to screen. These ideas that are on the screen right now are the ideas that one of the other designers did in the very early stages of the project. So I asked one of the other designers at Genius Division to look at this project. He's quite a young designer, or he was at the time. He was quite a young designer, and I said, come up with some ideas for HorrorCon. It's a horror convention. Think about all the ways that you could connect that, and show me what you come up with. And these was the ideas that he came up with, and I didn't like any of them. Obviously, you're probably looking at them and thinking you don't like any of them either. And the reason I think that he got to this stage right here is because he never used a single sheet of paper in any part of the project. And I could tell that as soon as I looked at this. Some of these ideas here, like this one, that kind of the typeface that he put together here, you could tell that this kind of idea only comes when you go straight to a screen instead of working in a sketchbook first. And he was a young designer, and he ended up not really doing much design actually as his career progressed with us at Genius Division. He moved on to being more of a developer. So I wasn't hard on him, but the ideas that he came up with weren't great, and I asked him to work on something else instead of trying to come up with logo ideas. But there was one seed of an idea here that I thought had potential. It was this one in the corner. The upside down cross symbol here, I thought had a seed of potential. And in fact, I'd already made a similar idea in my sketchbook, and one of the other designers that worked on this as well also made a similar idea, and you'll see how that developed as the project goes on. So these were the ideas that one of our designers put together first. And as I said, I was working on paper at this point. So when I came to look at this, I started to try and digitize some of my paper ideas. And my first paper ideas were this. Very early on, this is actually a straight drawing from my sketchbook. I had the idea that I wanted to slash the horror context in some way. The idea behind that isn't that particularly original, but I thought with the idea of slashing the text, or the text being dismembered in some way because it was a horror convention, I thought there was a really cool underlying idea under that. And at this point, in this early stage, I couldn't quite figure it out. The thing that I was exploring at this point was the idea of dismemberment. I know this is a very jolly topic. We're exploring the idea of dismemberment and kind of making trails of something in between the letters, but the idea wasn't really coming together in my head. So I moved on from that idea and I started playing with some kind of typography. And this down here as well was another version from my sketchbook. I'd kind of started to make this typeface that I thought had potential, that looked kind of like old punk stuff. It reminded me of the Cramps or something like that. And I thought it had potential when I started to develop it. But I realised that the type, it just wasn't that interesting. It wasn't very original. It had the missing ingredient. And the thing that I always try to put into logos and identity design is some kind of wit or some kind of idea that sits underneath the logo that's a bit interesting, that gets you thinking. Think looking at the FedEx logo, seeing an arrow symbol, that kind of thing. And this didn't have it. So I moved on from there and I started to play about with some typography, and you can see here on this screen that I was still working with this idea, and this is the very beginnings of kind of the cutting thing. And I started to put blood on it, and you can see there I'm still trying to do the dismemberment thing, and I had this idea in my head, but I still couldn't visualize it at this point. And then I started playing with some kind of weapons, and this is kind of at the point where I started to put weapons together to make letters. And then I started to think about the slashing, and I started to realise that there was kind of a seed of some kind of idea there. So from there, I was still playing with typefaces, because one of the things I like to do early on in any kind of identity project is I never use colour. So the only reason I was using red here is because I started to use red below, but I knew that the red wasn't going to be the final colour. I always try to work in black and white, or just a colour that's not relevant. And I always play with typography, one of the first things I play with, and typefaces and things like that, because I often think that picking the right typeface sometimes brings the entire brand together instantly like that. And I was playing with typefaces, and I couldn't see it. The idea in my head wasn't working, and I still kept coming back to the cutting idea. So I developed those ideas on a little bit to these kind of things, and this is where the Cramps thing kind of came in. This was another idea from my sketchbook that I thought had potential, but I was very influenced by punk stuff with this, and the Cramps and kind of ghoulish zine styles and stuff like that. And although I liked the kind of look of it, I couldn't get it to work, and I was messing with it here too, as you can see at this idea at the top. I was messing with it there, and it kind of looked cool, but it didn't fit the original brief of the project, because the original brief of the project was to try and make the conference look professional. So one of the big selling points of HorrorCon UK is one of the most professionally run horror conventions in the UK, and people keep coming back every year because of how well it's run. So one of the dual purposes of rebranding was for us to make them look more professional. So going down this kind of route makes the whole thing, whilst looking cool, it makes it all look a little bit lo-fi. It doesn't make it look very professional. It makes it look a little bit amateur. So I knew that this idea wasn't going to work. This potential of an idea couldn't work because it wasn't right for the brand. So that was a look behind the scenes at an old project that I really enjoyed working on, and I think turned out pretty well. I hope you enjoyed that video. Let me know if this video is useful. Let me know if you want me to do more of them, because I enjoyed doing this video, and I'll definitely do more of these if people think that they're useful, showing a deep dive underneath my thinking about a brand that I've previously designed. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you enjoyed this, and until then, I'll see you soon. Thank you.